Plus, on your mark, get set, run. Those freezing temps are not stopping Houston Marathon runners. And get your running shoes on, but be prepared for the cold. The safety tips to help marathon runners brave the freezing temps.
KHOU 11 Morning News starts now.
Welcome to KHOU 11 Morning News, starting off with a live look over downtown for the Houston Marathon. On this Sunday, January 14th, runners are gearing up for a long and freezing cold race, including morning anchor Steph Simmons and weekend anchor Cheryl Mercedes. Good morning, I'm Katiera Winfrey.
And I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez.
Chris, that Arctic blast is rolling in and folks need to be prepared. Go ahead and break down what we can expect to see.
Yes, we are seeing those winds calm here across Houston now, but
breaking news, a man is dead after he was hit twice by vehicles on the East Freeway. This happened around 10 last night. According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the victim tried to cross the freeway when he was hit. The driver of the first vehicle that hit him stayed at the scene and showed no signs of being drunk. Right now, investigators are searching for the second car that hit him. And now to more breaking news on Houston roadways. Just 10 minutes before the East Freeway crash, a man is dead after getting hit by a truck when he tried to cross West Mount Houston Road outside of a designated crosswalk. According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, a car swerved to avoid the man, and the truck that hit him was behind that car and didn't have enough time to react. Investigators checked the driver and passenger, and they didn't show any signs of intoxication. Now, this is a tragic reminder to only cross at designated crosswalks and where there is good lighting. And right now, the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office is investigating an awful shooting. 5 people, including a child, were found dead inside a home near Richmond. It happened about 24 hours ago along Corey Cornell Lane. Right now, investigators are trying to find out the motive of this tragic incident. We spoke to neighbors who knew this family and took many of them surprised, including Harold Williams.
Because they were very quiet people, real nice people, you know, they kept to themselves. Seek help and get out safely and as quickly as possible, so something like this don't happen in your household.
And right now, the victims in this case haven't been identified yet. This is an ongoing investigation, and the Sheriff's Office says they will release more information as it becomes available. Now, we know these stories can be hard to hear. If you are in a tough situation at home and need help, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline any time of day. That number is 800-799-7233. You can also text the word START to 88788. Right now, runners are gearing up for the Chevron Houston Marathon. While that may be exciting, road closures are not. Let's get over to Jennifer Reyna with a deeper look into the roads you need to avoid. Well, this morning, thousands of folks are preparing to hit the Houston roads in the Chevron Houston Marathon. Right now, we're in the 40s, but with the wind and people running, you need to stay safe. Mandy Gaither has some cold weather workout tips. And remember, you can text the word FREEZE to 713-526-1111, and we'll text you back with links to information on those warming centers and how to prepare your home and more. Well, the time now is 6:37. After the break, bad weather and mechanical issues. We're looking at flight data that might make you take a road trip instead. And if socks can stick to her New Year's resolution, so can you. The chunky Chihuahua defies the odds. Welcome back to KHOU 11 Morning News. The time is now 6:40, and here's a live look at Herman Park. We're going to check back with Chris Ramirez in just a few minutes. But for now, let's take a look at some of the other morning top stories. Now, if you're traveling, expect some headaches at the airport. According to the tracking site Flight Aware, more than 2,000 flights were canceled Friday morning. So far today, there have been more than 1,000 cancellations. On Friday, that's the highest number since July of last year. A winter storm pounding the Midwest is causing most of the cancellations, as well as the grounding of the 737 MAX 9 planes for safety concerns. Next, access to hormonal birth control, such as pills and patches, is getting major changes in 2024. More states have enacted laws allowing patients to get prescriptions for birth control directly from pharmacists without having to see a doctor first. Also, the first over-the-counter birth control pill approved in the U.S. O-Pill should be available in stores and online in the next few months. And finally, one pup in California is taking her New Year resolution seriously. Meet Socks, an obese Chihuahua mix who worked hard and lost a third of her body weight. She was wined and dined by her previous owner, chowing down on bacon and eggs, clocking in at 30 pounds. Soon after being fostered, she started a workout regimen and diet and lost 10 pounds, and then went even further and lost 10 more. Well, Chris, looking at Socks, at least she has good weather in California to keep those workouts up to date and doing what she needs to do, right?
Exactly. It's either too hot or too cold here across Southeast Texas. We don't usually get a long time with that pleasant weather, but we are also expecting a very cold outlook heading into the next 2 to 3 days.
Well, Chris, just thinking about those cold temperatures are making my teeth chatter right now.
Yes.
Well, the time is now 6:45, still ahead. Now's the time to prepare for the freezing temps, how you can save money with some easy steps to stay warm. And making the world a little more inclusive, we meet Team Catapult, who will hit the ground running this morning at the Chevron Houston Marathon. Well, right now, Houston weather feels like a toxic relationship, hot and cold. Now, it didn't feel too bad outside leaving work yesterday, and with temps expected to continue dropping, Rika Mudaraj shows us why it doesn't take stacks of cash to keep your house warm. Well, right now, the Arctic blast is on its way. Let's bring Chris Ramirez back in because today's forecast is a lot different from yesterday.
That is true. Yesterday, we were topping out in the 60s.
Well, thank you, Chris. The time now is 6:51 after the break. Guiding runners to victory, how a local organization is making a difference for visually impaired athletes, one step at a time. Welcome back to KHOU 11 Morning News. The time is now 6:53, and here's a live look at downtown as Houston Marathon runners prepare for the race. Now, welcome back. Now, right now, the Chevron Houston Marathon has started, and tens of thousands of athletes are taking over our streets, and some of those runners participating are blind. Team Catapult is a local organization that helps visually impaired and mobility impaired athletes achieve their goals in endurance sports like marathons. Our Steph Simmons had the chance to learn how they do it. Such an amazing story. I love seeing inclusive sports like this. And you saw Steph running. She's actually leading some people right now today.
Right. That's awesome to see. Definitely something that I'd never really thought of, you know.
The amount of athleticism it has to take to be able to run and trust someone to still guide you and still do a good job. I think it's just fascinating.
Very much so. And huge kudos to the people that are helping those people get to through the race.
Hopefully they're staying warm out there too, because it's a little chilly this morning, but hey, if they've gone this far, I'm sure this weather's nothing for them.
That is true, definitely.
All right, well, that's a wonderful, wonderful story, and good luck to those runners. Well, the time is now 6:57. Preparing for the big presidential election, we have a preview of the Iowa caucus. Plus, Houston is filled with winners this weekend, the major win for the Texans and a look to the future.
KHOU 11 Morning News starts now.
Welcome back to KHOU 11 Morning News, a live look over downtown right now on this Sunday. And not just any Sunday, but Chevron Houston Marathon Sunday. The race is just about to begin with a 7:01 start time. Good luck to all of the runners. And give a wave to our Steph Simmons and Cheryl Mercedes if you see them both hitting the pavement this morning. Welcome back. I'm Katiera Winfrey with meteorologist Chris Ramirez. Chris, an icy start for those runners this morning.
Not necessarily icy, but of course a little bit on the colder side as we are seeing those temperatures going into the next few hours. So
Well, this morning, Congressman Henry Cuellar says the state is responsible for 3 deaths, a woman and 2 children in the Rio Grande. According to him, Border Patrol told him that around 9 Friday night, a group of 6 migrants were in distress as they attempted to cross the river. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed to us that Border Patrol agents were physically kept from entering the area by Texas officials. It resulted in the drowning deaths of that woman and 2 children. The area has been involved in a tug-of-war between the federal government and Texas after the state took over Shelby Park and won't let federal Border Patrol agents in. It stopped Border Patrols from patrolling and launching boats into the Rio Grande from that area. Governor Abbott says Texas has the legal authority to control any geographic area in the state and that Texas will maintain control of Shelby Park. Now, new this morning, the Texas Military Department confirmed that it was contacted by Border Patrol Friday night, quote, in reference to a migrant distress situation. It said, quote, one of its units actively searched the river with lights and night vision goggles, but found no migrants or bodies. And with hours to go until the first votes are cast in 2024, Republican presidential candidates are making their case to Iowa voters. But they're also facing dangerously cold temperatures that could keep some supporters at home. Bradley Blackburn has the latest on the countdown to the caucus. And right now, there is a lot happening in politics, and that brings us to Margaret Brennan, moderator of Face the Nation. She joins us live from Washington, D.C. Margaret, good morning. All eyes on the 2024 presidential election and the potential nominees. I hear you'll be discussing that this morning.
Katiera, we will indeed. We have an entire team of CBS News reporters and embeds on the ground in Iowa, braving that cold weather you just spoke about, to try to bring us some insight into the minds of voters who will be casting those first votes to select the Republican nominee. And we want to get some insight from our CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. He will give us a window into not just the primary contest, but how all the Republican nominees would stack up in a head-to-head theoretical race with Joe Biden. We'll bring you those figures, and we'll speak to Chris Sununu. He's New Hampshire's governor, a big supporter of Nikki Haley. We want to understand what is next for her. As you know, she has been rising in polling for weeks now, particularly in that state of New Hampshire. We'll get insight into what happens next in that race. We'll talk to one of the candidates, Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas, about why he is one of the very few candidates to go straight at Donald Trump and exactly what he's hearing from voters. And we'll speak to West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. He's a Democrat, but he says he feels politically homeless these days. He thinks a lot of Americans feel that way. We'll talk to him about what that means for his political movement.
Well, definitely something to watch. Now, Margaret, what else do you have coming up?
Well, as you know, Katiera, there were those strikes this past week carried out by the U.S. and allies against Iranian-backed militias in Yemen, known as the Houthis. We want to understand what the threat picture looks like now, whether there is retaliation expected against U.S. interests in the region, and what comes next, because truly the Middle East feels like it is a tinderbox right now, whether it's the war in Israel, the risk of spreading elsewhere into Lebanon and the like, or what we are seeing now with this U.S. engagement. John Kirby, strategic coordinator for the White House National Security Council, will be with us to talk about that and a number of other very big issues that will be facing the commander-in-chief today as we talk about who the commander-in-chief tomorrow should be.
Margaret Brennan, live in D.C. Thank you so much. Now, remember to stick around. All that and more on Face the Nation on Sunday mornings, right here on KHOU 11 at 9:30.
They run it. Flacco dials it up. Picked off again. Christian Harris. It's going to go. Back-to-back pick sixes. Story of Stroud is just beginning. Houston dominant, 45-14, and they're on to the divisional.
Houston, we have a winner for the first time since 2019. The Texans have won a playoff game. Matt Musil and Zach Toatari look at what's next. Well, the time now, 7:10. We'll be right back. And welcome back to KHOU 11 Morning News. The time now 7:13. Here's a live look over Galveston, and we have a chilly start. Let's get straight to meteorologist Chris Ramirez. Chris, we're in the upper 30s right now.
That is true. We have officially fallen to about 38 degrees across Houston.
Well, thank you, Chris. People need to make sure they are bundled up now if they're heading out. Well, the time now 7:17. Coming up next, as the Arctic blast rolls in, don't forget about your car. We verify the safe ways to de-ice before you hit the road. Welcome back. As you prepare for the Arctic blast, you need to know what to do if your car is covered in ice and you need to get somewhere. There are tons of hacks that claim to de-ice cars faster, but are they safe? Ariane Detil is here to verify. Well, the time right now is 7:22. Coming up next, blowing out 3 separate sets of candles. The Texas family that took the saying, sharing is caring, a little too far. Welcome back. Some of us may have forgotten a loved one's birthday by accident, but for one Texas family, it's a little easier to remember their special day. That's because the wife, husband, and one of their daughters all share the same birthday, which is why yesterday, Sean Giggy introduces us to the special family. Well, that's pretty cool. The time right now, 7:27, still ahead at 7:30. They might have fur, but they still get cold. How you can protect your pets during this Arctic blast.
KHOU 11 Morning News starts now.
Welcome back. Starting off with a live look in downtown for the Houston Marathon on this Sunday, January 14th. A long weekend for a lot of us, as Martin Luther King Jr. Day is tomorrow. Good morning. I'm Katiera Winfrey.
And I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez.
Now, Chris, we've got a lot going on today and tomorrow, from the Chevron Houston Marathon right now to Houston's MLK Day Parade tomorrow. But we can't forget that Arctic blast rolling in.
Right, those temperatures already falling into the 30s. I don't know if you were able to see that American flag in that live shot. It was blowing in the wind.
Well, breaking news out of Northeast Houston. The Harris County Sheriff's Office is investigating 4 people shot, 2 of them juveniles. This happened around 12:30 this morning on Mooney Road, according to the Harris County Sheriff's Office. A large party with 50 to 75 people was at an 18-wheeler compound. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says an unknown person started shooting randomly. Right now, a 19-year-old is in critical condition, and the other 3 will be okay. Right now, runners are making their way through the Chevron Houston Marathon. While that may be fun, road closures are not. Let's get over to Jennifer Reyna with a deeper look into the roads you need to avoid. And now to a traffic alert in Midtown. The northbound ramp from the Southwest Freeway to Spur 527 is closed. This is a live look from TransStar. You can see that work truck with its flashing lights and blocking the ramp. TxDOT says there was a truck crash early yesterday morning that damaged a concrete barrier and crashed cushion. The ramp will stay closed until further notice. And right now, we are making sure you and your family stay safe. That includes having a warm place to sleep. The City of Houston plans to open warming centers tomorrow. You can see all 8 locations on your screen right now. They include the Multi-Service Center in Acres Homes, Denver Harbor, Sunnyside, and West Gray, along with the Downtown Recovery Center and the Fondy Community Center. Lakewood Church and the A-Leaf YMCA will also open their doors. The warming centers are set to open at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Now, if you need a warm place to stay tonight, a warming center at Greenhouse International Church, that's on West Greens Road, will open. It will start with 300 beds, but will be able to go up to 1,000. The warming center was announced by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and Pastor E.A. Deckard. Areas will be separated between single men, families, and women with children. They will also provide hot meals, but no pets are allowed. Besides yourself, we need to keep our furry friends happy and healthy during this cold snap. So this morning, the Houston SPCA is sharing some tips to make sure your families, your animals, stay safe. Now, when it comes to dogs and cats, it's best to just bring them inside. If that's not possible, you are required to provide them a shelter like a garage or a doghouse. You can add blankets, towels, or hay to help keep them warm and dry. You'll also need to give them extra food and water, but use plastic bowls so their tongues don't get stuck. When it comes to farm animals, make sure that horses have access to a barn or a three-sided structure with a roof. While not all horses need to be blanketed, it will make them more comfortable. You'll also want to make sure they have plenty of food to help them regulate their body temperature. And just like your pets, wild animals need help in the cold as well. You can set out bird houses, hay, and even laundry lint to create hiding spots for small animals. You should also tap on the hood of your car before starting it up to scare off any animals who may have crawled inside to keep warm. Well, the time now 7:36. After the break, drop the oats in breakfast bars. The recall now being expanded. Plus, Hulk smash into the ground. The faceplant heard across the world. And welcome back to KHOU 11 Morning News. The time now 7:40. Here's a live look over Herman Park. We're going to check back in with Chris Ramirez in just a few minutes. But for now, let's take a look at some of the morning's other top stories, starting with Quaker Oats is expanding its recall to include additional products that may be contaminated with salmonella. Last month, the company recalled granola bars and granola cereals. Now it's adding more cereal brands, cereal bars, instant oatmeal, protein bars, and snack mixes to the list. If you have any of the products, you should throw them out immediately. For a full list of the recalled products or in reimbursement, visit www.quakerrecallusa.com. And next, according to a new study, it turns out that our fingerprints may not be unique after all. The researchers trained an AI model to examine 60,000 fingerprints, which were fed into the system in pairs. The AI system was able to detect when they belonged to the same individual due to strong similarities in fingerprints and when they didn't. Finally, there's a new addition to the Faceplant Hall of Fame, and he's a superhero. Hulk made a special appearance at a birthday party, and it flopped. Literally. As one kid who was closest to the Hulk being smashed loved it, while others screamed in terror. The Hulk did need help getting up because all of his muscles, but he was okay and got up and danced. Well, Chris, if you have feet that big, it's easy to not be able to see where you're going.
That is true. I mean, you had a mask, you had the suit on.
Yeah.
I mean, and he had that step that nobody warned him about.
And that was a narrow door.
It was a narrow door.
It was a narrow door those muscles needed to fit through.
Right.
Cool. So Hulk fell, but these temperatures are falling right now for us.
That is true. That suit, definitely something that I would probably want to be wearing if I'm outside right now.
So important to drive home that message about that cold weather. Thanks, Chris. Well, the time now 7:46. Now here's a live look at Galveston as we go to break. The top 3 things you need to know on this Sunday when we come back.
Welcome back. The time is now 7:49.
And now to the top 3 stories we're tracking, starting with number 3. Right now, you need to be prepping for this Arctic blast. Take any leftover plants inside, double check your indoor and outdoor pipes, and prepare for icy roads tomorrow. We have a full list of what you need to know on KHOU.com right now. Number 2, the Chevron Houston Marathon is underway right now. Our very own morning anchor, Steph Simmons, and weekend anchor, Cheryl Mercedes, are in the race. Remember, there are tons of road closures until the races are over. And number 1, the city of Houston plans to open warming centers as the Arctic blast rolls in. You can see all 8 locations on your screen right now. The warming centers are set to open at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Now, remember, you can text the word. Oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
And of course, that winter weather alert in effect. We will see that winter weather advisory be in effect from tonight through tomorrow morning. As a look at your 7-day forecast, temps in the 40s. We were in the 40s, now we're falling into the 30s. We will see overnight lows in the 20s and teens, below freezing temps expected. That chance for sleet and ice tomorrow. We are going to be bitterly cold for Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon, as we're going to wake up in the teens, wind chills in the single digits, and then lasting through Wednesday, warming up briefly for Thursday.
All right. Now remember, you can text the word freeze to 713-526-1111, and we'll text you back with links to information on those warming centers, how to prepare your home, and so much more. Thanks for being up with us. I'm Katiera Winfrey.
And I'm Chris Ramirez. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy this moment of Zen.